mud to your knees, shells screaming overhead, and a whistle about to send you over the top. This is no man's land. You're in a narrow ditch carved into the earth of northern France, and the world above wants you dead. The trench is your only shield, and it's barely enough. In the next 10 minutes, that whistle will blow, and the odds of you making it back are terrible. By the end of this, you'll know exactly what really kills men in a trench, and the one mistake that ends most of them before the enemy even fires. The first threat isn't the bullets, it's the water rising past your ankles right now, rotting the skin off your feet. They call it trench foot, and it has already put more men out of action than the guns. But stay with me, because the deadliest moment in this trench isn't the charge, it's what comes before it. You look down the line, sandbagged walls, duckboards floating on black water, a periscope, and a young officer checking his wristwatch. The dugout behind you smells of wet wool, tobacco, cordite, and something sweeter you're trying not to name. Somewhere above, a shell whistles in a pitch you're learning to read, and the veterans don't flinch, so you don't either. They know that sound goes long. It's the low, flat one you have to fear. Your rifle is caked in mud, and if it jams when the whistle goes, you'll die holding a very expensive club. You wipe the bullet with an oily rag over and over because moving hands don't shake. A runner splashes past with a message, and the word passes down the line, stand to, 5 minutes. The first killer in this place isn't the enemy across the wire. It's the environment pressing in from every side. Cold, wet, filth, and no sleep for days. Your feet have been submerged for so long the nerves are dying. If you don't get them dry and moving soon, you could lose them entirely. Veterans rub whale oil into their toes and change socks whenever they can. That small ritual keeps more men in the fight than any medal ever did. Next comes the water you're desperate to drink. It sits in shell holes, milky and still, and it will kill you slower than any bullet. You drink only from your canteen, refilled from the rear. Anything from the ground carries cholera, dysentery, or worse, in stretcher cases from bad water outnumber wounds some weeks. Then there's the lice. Every seam of your uniform is alive with them, and they carry trench fever, days of shaking, headaches, a body that won't obey. You run a candle flame along the seams to burn them out. It works for a night. By morning, they're back. Above you, a machine gun stitches the parapet with a slow, patient rhythm. Anyone who lifts a head above the sandbags for more than a heartbeat learns why snipers love this war. The rule is simple and absolute. Eyes on the periscope, never over the top. Curiosity is the first thing that kills the new men. You've been here a week, and already you understand the strange calm. Men writing letters, brewing tea in a mess tin, joking about the rats. The rats are the size of cats, bold enough to steal food from a sleeping man's hand. You learn to sleep with your rations under your head. But none of that is what you're really afraid of. You're afraid of the shell you won't hear, the one that lands close enough to shake the wall of the trench and bury the man beside you alive. High explosive doesn't need to hit you. The pressure wave alone can stop your heart or rupture your lungs from 20 feet away. The veterans open their mouths when a shell lands close to equalize the pressure. It's a small thing and it saves lives. If you're buried, you have minutes, sometimes less, before the weight of wet earth makes it impossible to draw breath. Your mates will dig. Pray they dig fast. Then comes the sound. Every soldier learns to dread the gentle, almost polite hiss of a gas shell, softer than the others. You have seconds. You pull your respirator over your face, tighten the straps, and breathe shallow through the canister until the world smells of rubber and fear. Take the mask off too soon and chlorine will scar your lungs for life. Phosgene works slower. You'll feel fine tonight and drown in your own fluids by morning. Most gas casualties come from panic, not the gas itself. Men tearing masks off to vomit or fumbling straps with cold hands. Muscle memory keeps you alive here, not courage. So what would you do? Go over the top when the whistle sounds, or freeze in the trench and face the firing squad behind you. The officer's whistle is in his mouth. His eyes are on his watch. Now comes the moment this whole war is built around, the assault across no man's land. Between you and the German line is 200 yards of shell craters, barbed wire, and the corpses of the men who tried yesterday. Machine guns are already ranged on the gaps in the wire. The instant that whistle blows, they'll open up in interlocking arcs designed so no living thing crosses. The mistake most men make here is running in a straight line for cover. The gunners want you to run for cover. That's exactly where they've aimed. The ones who live longest zigzag, drop into shell holes, and move in short rushes while the gun traverses away from them. You'll be carrying 60 pounds of kit, rifle, ammunition, entrenching tool, water, rations. Panic makes it feel like 100. Slow, deliberate breathing. Fix on the next crater, not the far trench. Break the distance into pieces small enough to survive. The whistle blows. You climb the ladder, and the noise hits you like a physical wall, every gun in the sector opening at once. Men on either side of you fall before they've taken 3 steps. You do not stop. Stopping is what kills you. You reach the first shell hole and drop into it chest heaving, the rim of the crater sparking with rounds. The man who shared your dugout an hour ago is somewhere behind you in the mud. You don't look back. Looking back is another way to die. Here's the brutal truth of it. In a trench war, survival is mostly luck, and the rest is discipline. The bravest man and the most careful man die at the same rate as the coward, but the careful man dies less often. What keeps you alive is boring dry feet, clean water, a serviced rifle, a mask you can find in the dark, and the habit of never, ever raising your head above the parapet. What kills you is the small lapse. One curious glance, one drink from a shell hole, 1 second too slow with the mask. Tell me before you scroll on. Would you have gone over that ladder, or would you have frozen? Comment your answer before you see the ones below. You crawl back that night through the wire, cut hands, cut face, lungs raw, and somehow you make the trench again. You are one of the lucky ones. The others are still out there in the mud, and the guns will find them again tomorrow. If this one stayed with you, the scenario on surviving one night on the Somme is even more brutal. Same war, worse odds. New survival scenarios drop every week on this channel. So subscribe and turn on the bell, because next time the ground you're standing on might not be there in the morning. In the end, the trench doesn't ask if you're brave. It only asks if you paid attention. This is for entertainment and educational purposes only. A what-if scenario, not survival, medical, or safety advice. Never attempt anything shown here